Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And folks, last time when Daria was on, I mentioned all the female cast of Jersey Shore, and I received your emails and of the people trying to quiz me on what the male cast members are. And Daria, are you ready for this?
Hit me.
There we go. Paulie D, Ronnie, Mike the Situation Sorrentino, and of course, my man, Vinny Guadagnino. Good stuff, right?
Nailed it.
Nailed it. And after that, after embarrassing myself, we're joined by Daria Lucia of That Hoboken Eats. Daria, how are you today?
I'm starting to think you might be more Jersey than me.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but maybe Jersey Shore.
Maybe Jersey Shore. Fantastic show.
How many times did you frequent the Seaside Boardwalk?
Oh, what? I grew up on the Seaside Boardwalk.
Love
I thought
to
she was
hear
going to
it.
ask how many times did I fist pump on the Seaside Boardwalk.
I still fist pump.
Amen. Why
You
wouldn't
catch
you?
me at Green Rock every Friday night fist pumping a little bit.
There you go. We were trying to keep the stalkers away, but now you know where she is, folks. Anyway, that's Green Rock Bar and Grill, and we'll put the address right at the bottom of your screen. Friday nights, go see Daria.
Go to Green Rock. Don't see this girl in the background.
Here goes the Monmouth coming out. Anyway, all right, Daria, you know, a few weeks ago, you sent me to Long Island and Patrizia's. Now you're bringing me into Manhattan, and we're going to be talking about Bubby's, which is located at 120 Hudson Street in Lower Manhattan. Why am I in Manhattan?
Because we're cultured.
Look at that.
We're
Segment over.
cultured.
Folks, we will be all right back. No, I'm just kidding around. All right. Bubby's, from the name, I have no idea what
No
type of
idea,
restaurant.
and that's the beauty of it.
So talk to me.
Because they have everything. They have everything there. So...
It's like a diner?
No, hold on. So I went there. I have to preface this. I went there with my entire team from work. It was like our first in-person outing. And so it was a bunch of us. Okay, imagine that, like 12 people, different tastes, different everything. And we all went and we decided that we're going to share a bunch of foods.
Like
Okay?
what? Oh, sorry. I interrupted her.
We got fried mac and cheese balls that come with a side of buffalo dipping sauce.
What?
We got crispy Brussels sprouts.
Oh.
We got French fries.
By the way, what better way to make Brussels sprouts good than making them crispy?
Oh,
right?
yeah, with some bacon, too. And a little bit of maple glaze. French fries.
French fries.
Nachos. Black
Staple.
bean, cheese, jalapeno, a little salsa, a little sour cream action. Plenty of cheese. All the nachos were gone. You know, you always get the straggles on the bottom. We'll never get it.
Right.
Oh, my God, I'm craving nachos right
Craving
now.
nachos?
I can taste them.
Are we going to go to Bubby's?
We're going to Bubby's.
Bubby's!
Then we got regular bacon mac and cheese.
Okay.
And biscuits.
What?
Biscuits.
Like biscuits you would get like down south?
Like thick, doughy, flaky, warm biscuits. They come 3 in an order with like butter, and it was threw me for a loop when someone on the table was like, "Let's get biscuits," and I was like, "Something doesn't fit. That might be it, but let's do it. Let's eat
So
it."
it seems like comfort food. It really does.
It just has everything, and we got a Caesar salad.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
I mean, that's usually in an Italian restaurant.
we had a
correct?
long day.
I was gonna say. I mean, you know, we'll get to the alcohol portion of the evening, unless you went there during the day, dead smack in the middle of work.
No.
All right, good. Yeah, because her
We
full-time
would
job
never do
watches
that.
this.
I'm just kidding.
Bad drinking on the job. Anyway, okay, I go to Bubby's in Lower Manhattan, which, by the way, Lower Manhattan's wonderful. So much
many
better.
fun places.
But it's so much better than Midtown. I feel like Midtown is stale. I feel like it's dirtier.
So to me, I only ever worked in Midtown, and I love all the people. I get excited about that.
Right.
And so when I went to downtown, I was like, oh, it's so quiet. Like, quiet.
Exactly. Until Daria and her friends and her
But the
coworkers.
restaurants are just insane.
Jumping.
Insane.
Okay, so Bubby's, ambiance wise.
back, yeah.
Yeah. You go in there.
Cool
what am I
vibe.
expecting? Cool vibe.
Cool vibe.
Compare it to some place here in Hoboken, the vibe.
Ooh,
City Bistro?
No. Maybe like a cross between like an antique
Wow.
and like something less like super decorated. Maybe like if. Oh man,
I stumped her.
I have this
I
right
stumped
there.
her.
It's like an antique, but like a little bit less than like an antique. Like antique has all the decor everywhere. It has a cool vibe. Like it's
Cool vibe.
unique. It has just like a quirk to it. this Bubby's had like a quirk to it.
Right. It's definitely one of those things.
Like a Zaxxon and Antique had a baby. You're right smack dab in the middle.
Boom, Zach's Antiques, baby. I'm trying to think of a name in between that. Zantique? Pretty
Hollywood
good.
name. Hollywood
Pretty
name.
good. You know, I mean, this is what I do, Darry. I come here, I ask questions. I'm not creative, but, you know, that showed a little bit of my creative side.
There it is.
Okay, so you're going into Bubby's.
Yes.
You're having a good time. Were you dancing on the bars?
No, because
Say that a little more aggressively next time, Darry.
not yet, but maybe next time we all go out together, that was what will happen, but had to keep it cool for the first outing. However, I don't think that they would not like it at the Bubby's. I think that they'd be cool with it. They have a full bar when you walk in, more of like the bar area, so you sit down, there's like some benches, or the booth seating, the small tables, plenty of bar seating as well around the bar, and then you go into the main dining room, plenty of seating again. We were a party of 12, had no problem accommodating us. They also have a parklet outside.
Wow. So
which
nice.
was very big, which you don't always see. I mean, I guess you see it in the city a lot. I take that
do.
back. You do.
Listen, it's all about helping out small businesses.
It is.
If it's up to me,
And
I would
it's-
leave them out
and
there.
it's, oh,
Right.
I couldn't agree more.
Right.
But it's nice because that area is pretty quiet, so they have a nice big parklet area outside.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, you spoke about the big bar that you wanted to dance on, but you stayed classy,
It's a work outing.
except for when she's at Green Rock on Friday nights. Anyway, there's the fist pump. Anyway, talk about the drinks at Bubby's.
So I had wine.
Okay.
I had wine, but they have a little bit of everything. So there was actually someone on my team who had like a pickled martini. So like, yeah.
Interesting.
It was a pickled martini.
I mean, I guess for the people that love pickle juice out there, just have it in a martini.
But they loved it. They
Really?
had margaritas.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really, really good. So they have margaritas. They had like a bananas Foster drink. Like they really have a little.
Okay.
It's a
Creative.
Again, and that's where I can bring it back to antique and not think that I'm absolutely nuts. But they have eclectic cocktails like that you don't just find everywhere.
That you find ever. All right, if I want to stumble there after a hard day of work, because I work in Lower Manhattan, my day job, not the Pulse, it doesn't pay my bills. Do I need to make a reservation? Or
We did, yes.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
And again, this was on a Wednesday, 12 of us, so it's either make or break. That's why we tried to make a reservation. It wasn't too packed on a Wednesday, but I would assume that place gets going on Thursday, Friday, things like that. But again, and I would also, before you ask me, I would go.
She's taking the
I'm
questions
the
out of my
host
brain.
now.
Well, it's about time.
I would say it's good for groups. I would go there for like a girl brunch, girls' night out, but it'd be fun too with like a double date or like a triple date or a one-on-one date. So it kind of goes against everything. It goes for everything. And again, at the work dinner, we all ranged in ages and again, cuisines we wanted, and we all found something we liked, which is very hard to please everybody.
And for the folks out there, Dara was one of the younger ones there.
I'm not.
Why do you think she still fist pumps at Green
I'm
Rock
not.
every Friday? Exactly. All right, Daria. I think it's really a great place to
Me
go
too.
because it's so close.
Me too.
You know, you could just hop on the World Trade Center path and bada bing, bada boom.
Bada
you're
bing,
there.
bada boom, and you're at Bubby's.
And you're at Bubby's. Look at that. I don't think we can talk about anything else. We have to end the segment on there. So, Daria De Lucia, thank you so much for joining us from at Hoboken Eats, not at Manhattan Eats, right?
No.
Exactly.
Hoboken forever.
Hoboken forever for life. Right? Was that the whole thing? There you go. Doing it. Yeah. I swear those are not gang symbols, folks. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano still in the host chair. We want to thank Daria De Lucia for her Great review on Bubby's last segment. And speaking of a person that they call Tubby, that is the person to my right, who's our political analyst every week here on the show, Josh Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, how are you today, sir?
I am to your right because I am correct.
There you go. I like that.
I also wish Daria was here instead of you.
Or anybody else, correct?
That is true.
Josh, you and I took a ride the other night. We took a ride down Washington Street.
I was held hostage. It was against my will.
It was totally against his will. That's not what he said that night, but different story for a different time. And we noticed that there are decorations all over Washington Street that are sponsored, by the Hoboken Business Alliance. What did you think of those decorations?
So for the most part, it's kind of a garbage idea that the Hoboken Business Alliance is doing these decorations, and we should bow down before them and be so thankful, because before they existed, before they were taking money out of the pockets of small property owners, many of which are born and raised and live here and in their properties, the city used to do the same thing. So it's kind of ridiculous for the city council, the people that supported the Business Alliance and the Business Alliance, to now be like, look at us, look what we do for the city, when this has always been done by the city in the past.
And did you think that the decorations are worth the extra $1 million that's now in their budget?
I mean, I would like to start a decorations company and get that contract. Who wouldn't? But no, it's absolutely ridiculous. And also about 5 blocks worth of lights were also out from 14th to
about 9th Street.
9th Street on the east side of Washington Street on the avenue. So good job, Business Alliance. Oh, they also have that really crappy sign by the Christmas tree, which if anyone out there calls it a holiday tree, you can go, yourself. It's a Christmas tree. I'm Jewish, and I say Merry Christmas because that's what most people are celebrating.
Well, their sign says Happy Holidays, I believe.
Well, that's dumb. We all know what holiday it is. It's no surprise. We're not getting off for Hanukkah. I love Hanukkah. I'm Jewish. Yay, Jews. But it's sort of dumb. But even if their dumb sign didn't say Happy Holidays, it looks like something a dog is likely to pee on.
multiple times, exactly. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on now, because we could talk about the garbage that's the Hoboken Business Alliance, for hours and hours here. On to a pressing issue in the city of Hoboken, and we touched upon this a few weeks ago, which is the school referendum for a new high school, $241 million to build a new high school. The vote takes place on Tuesday, January the 25th. You do have some new information because there has been public meetings, Josh. What new information do you have?
So basically, the boosters of this bad idea made a 3D video presentation that walked you through this amazing sports complex boondoggle of a spending spree that has a high school attached to it, because really, I don't understand why we're putting an emphasis on the sports aspects of this endeavor, but really they're trying to sell it to the public by saying, oh, look at the ice skating rink and the swimming pool and the other elements that'll be open to the community, which is really cool. I mean, if it was for free, I'd be like, awesome, build it. Or if it was affordable, I'd say, awesome, build it. But the fact of the matter is there's no actual need. They didn't address, and they still haven't addressed, the funding for it, which is, a lot of the reason that people are hesitant or reluctant, or just like me, 100% against it. They have talked about in the public how it's going to be a 30-year bond, and if you look at interest rates and you assume, give them the benefit of the doubt, assume it's a low interest rate of 2%, you're talking, unless there's some hidden secret state government fund for this or aid that they haven't talked about yet, we're talking about really an actual price tag of $385 million to build a school for under 400 students. And then, the boosters say, well, it's for the future high school students. But, I published an op-ed on this topic, and I didn't cover everything. But a very wise person in town, John Kopish, I'm probably butchering your name. I apologize.
I think it's Kopish.
Yes. I always butcher your name. Wrote a letter published in the Hudson Reporter that pointed out 2 very important things, or 3 very important things, rather. One, that if you look at the middle school, you're talking, I think, about under 400 students. So let's say we build this monstrosity of a spending project. We then have a high school that has under 500 kids in it, and a middle school, because they want to turn the current high school into a middle school with under 400 kids in it. And both have a capacity of over 1,000 people. And so too, he also pointed out that if you look at the actual history of the waxing and waning, of the increase and decrease in student enrollment, that we had these numbers, the same sort of increase that they're pretending is historic. Sorry, I should have quoted historic, not increase. Increase, it actually is. Historic, it's not. We had this in decades past, and it didn't result in a larger high school class. And then he also pointed out, I think very, very, correctly, that one of the draws of Hoboken is that it's right next to the city, and that's encouraged a lot of people to move to Hoboken. And with the prevalence and the growing ability of companies to do, work remote and work from home, there's less of a reason for people to migrate to urban areas that are right adjacent to the city. So, he kind of makes the point that, we're not going to see this growth in enrollment because more people want to move to the suburbs where they have more space and they get more bang for their buck, not just in education, but across the board.
So, Josh, I think it's important for people to obviously form their own opinions. This is a huge bond referendum, $241 million, as we mentioned before. There are more public meetings coming up in the near future where people can see or ask any type of questions for the project, correct?
Yes, so one is on Tuesday. We'll put it up on the screen, the location and the time.
Tuesday, December 14th.
Yeah,
right.
And I never know what date it is. I don't even know what year it is. COVID has me all messed up with what time it is. It might be morning right now. But anyway, so if you support it, I hope you don't go to that meeting. But if you don't support it, or if you have legitimate questions, because the boosters of this plan and the school board and the administration have basically answered zero questions other than, look, it has an ice skating rink and a pool. I hope you show up. It's time we ask some questions, specifically in terms of finance and specifically in terms of the BOE's plan, not just to build buildings, but to build a better pedagogy for our children. Because people can say that test results are antiquated and we shouldn't judge school systems by tests, and there's some merit in that. But when you look at what parents look for in a school district, when they're comparing it to fancy, and less fancy private schools in the area, people look at test results. People look at SAT scores.
And look, kudos to the Board of Education on one thing. They have actually held their meetings open to the public within the last few months. City Hall just announced this week that they're allowing 25 people into city council meetings from the public, I believe.
Yeah, it's rather paltry. It's basically the Bala administration giving a little bit of crumbs to the people. They'd like to have these closed meetings, but it's still a victory for the good government activists out there that have been pressuring City Hall to open up while every other city and the Board of Ed has had open meetings.
So if you want to attend a city council meeting, you'll have your fever checked. You will have to keep your mask on, and you better get there early because they're only allowing 25 people.
How are they doing the temperature check? Is it like when we were children, or?
You know what? You can go and find out and report back to us. Josh Sotomayor Einstein, our political analyst every week. Thanks, my man. We'll see you soon.
I hope so.
All right, folks. We will be right back. Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. And folks, the gentleman to my right was on the show 2 weeks ago, and we were criticizing him about his picks. And what did he do? He shut Peter B up, if that's even possible, which I don't think it is. And of course, that's our man here, our sports insider, Mr. Eric Cruz, going 4-1 in Week 12 2 weeks ago. Congratulations on that weekend.
Man, that was a big week for me. I'm just upset that Pittsburgh just destroyed it, though. Just getting destroyed me that day. I just don't understand it.
I do remember that because you were texting me during the game, and you were like, "Oh, this is going to be another long day." But boom, 4 in a row after that.
Yeah,
Good job, man.
I was on week 12.
Exactly. You see, you keep practicing, and bada bing, bada boom, as they say, right?
Hey, man, we're in the 14th week now. I should be all right at this, at least.
I mean, yeah, seriously. Hey, well, you always have the extra week, too, this season. So, anyway, speaking of Pittsburgh, they play in the AFC North, and we're going to begin our rapid fire, our top 5 games of Week 14, and their picks, according to Eric Cruz, the hot Eric Cruz right now, the red hot Eric Cruz. And we're going to start with the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Cleveland Browns, the 500 Cleveland Browns. Baltimore coming off a really bad loss last week to those same Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you like in this matchup, Eric?
I like Cleveland. Just on week 12, actually, out of those picks, I picked Baltimore to beat Cleveland. But for me, this is kind of like a special game. This is a game for the Browns this is the second time in 3 weeks they're going to play Baltimore, and they had a bye week right in the middle of that. So I think Cleveland is going to be a lot more prepared going into this game against Baltimore. Baltimore's starting to show their hand a little bit. They're struggling on offense. Other than Lamar Jackson running the ball, they're really not getting a lot out of their running game. We all know that Baltimore defense is good. The last time they played Cleveland and Baltimore, Baltimore shut their running game down. And that's one of the hardest things to do in the NFL is to shut down the Cleveland Browns running game, but they did. But with that said, with the bye week, I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to be a little bit more creative with the running game. They're going to try to involve their tight ends a little bit more. And I really do see Cleveland at home taking this game from Baltimore, I think they're gonna struggle a little bit. I don't think they're gonna go completely downhill, but they're gonna struggle a little bit. They just got a big injury on defense to Marlon Humphrey. He's out for the rest of the year.
Wow.
So Baltimore is still struggling with injuries. I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland just because of the bye week, and I think that they'll get their running game going.
I'll tell you what, the AFC North is going to get a lot tighter if your prediction comes true. I mean, Pittsburgh is right on the heels of Baltimore after looking so bad and giving you that one loss 2 weeks ago.
It's the AFC North. It's the AFC North this year is what it is.
Exactly. Speaking of the only team people should care about, and that's America's team. And I know Eric has decided not to talk about my beloved Dallas Cowboys on the show until this week. And I think it's going to be a very, very tough matchup. They go to Washington, who has won 4 in a row and is 2 games behind the Cowboys. Who do you like in this game?
Well, we spoke about right when we went on there. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys they're playing good football. They're getting healthy.
That's the big key, right?
The crazy part about it is that everybody thought it was going to be the Zeke show, especially me. Mm-hmm. But boy, Tony Pollard has come out of just nowhere.
Although he's battling an injury now.
He is battling an injury, but with those 2 guys running the ball and with CeeDee Lamb coming back, getting healthy, Amari Cooper, and just Michael Gallup coming out of nowhere really this year and starting to show up, I think that is – and their defense, right? Everybody's talking about how bad their defense was last year. This year – top 5 in turnovers. So
amazing what Dan Quinn has done on the defensive coordinator.
It is amazing. Yeah. It just goes to show how important coaching is in the NFL. Right. But I'm gonna go with Dallas in this game. I don't think Washington has enough firepower to hang with Dallas. Defensively, Washington shut down Oakland, but Oakland was another team that was banged up, again going through a lot of issues. But I don't think Washington can hang with Dallas. I'm going to pick Dallas to go on the road and win this game.
See that? Sucking up to the host and the executive producer, but he knows it. Absolutely love that prediction. We got to keep going because I could just talk about the Cowboys the whole segment here. And we're moving on to a team who's really struggling lately, and that's one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl coming into the season. And that was the Buffalo Bills going up against, of course, the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay, as I like to call them, Buccaneers down in Tampa. Buffalo coming off that very, very, very awkward game where the wind was blowing 40 miles per hour in their stadium, snow on the ground against the Patriots, the Red Hot Patriots, I might add. Who do you like in this one, Eric?
Man, this was like a toss-up for me, really. And it's weird because people will be like, how's it a toss-up? Buffalo's losing and Tampa's Tampa. They got Brady. And to me, it's like Buffalo going into this game, if there's going to be a rally cry, it's going to be this week for Buffalo because that's a good football team, you know. And against the New England Patriots, I believe that the Buffalo Bills thought that they were the better team. And for them to go home and not win that game, a game where it was just, New England ran the ball 44 times.
Unbelievable.
And, man, they were able to hit him with some big
runs.
Mac
Jones threw for 3 passes.
Like you said,
that's a record.
Very awkward game, right?
Yeah, so, I couldn't think of the word, and it was awkward. Yeah.
So, for me, I think Buffalo, with that in mind, with Josh Allen really having to prove something now, this team was a Super Bowl, this team was picked to win the Super Bowl by a couple guys.
Right.
I thought they would win the division, and right now they may not even get that far. So for me, this team, Buffalo, has a lot to play for in this game. I love their defense. They have a great defense. Secondary, I believe, watch out for this. I think that they're going to force Tom Brady to get that ball down the field. And I think Tom Brady's going to struggle doing that against Buffalo.
Interesting.
They're going to get to him. I think they're going to bother him. I think they're going to turn Tom Brady over. It's hard to pick against Tampa Bay just because of Brady and their offense and the defense.
And you say you never want to pick against Tom Brady.
I don't, but you know what? I'm feeling a little froggy, and I'm going to leap right now, and I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to go on the road and take this game from Tampa.
All right, get him froggy with it, he said. The next matchup is interesting because it's two teams that are extremely inconsistent, and that is the San Francisco 49ers visiting those Cincinnati Bengals. It's interesting that you made this one of your top 5 games of the week. Yeah. Why did you do so, and who do you like in this game?
Well, I thought this game was interesting because for me, both these teams, their playoff hopes are on the line right now.
Yeah.
You know, the AFC North is tight, like you said, with the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals.
Right.
Nobody would have thought the Bengals were going to be this good, and you know what? They're showing that they can hang with teams, but offensively, they slowed down a little bit. Jamar Chase has slowed down a little bit. The offensive line is starting to show who they really are. They're not a really good, solid group yet.
Right.
And Joe Burrow's getting sacked a lot. He got hit a lot against the LA Chargers last week.
He did.
And, he got injured. He hurt the pinky. That was something to look for and something to look forward to going into this game as well. So for me, this game has a lot of playoff implication for both teams. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, is the key to this game. He didn't play too well against Seattle. You know, the running game, they got shut down a little bit. Seattle was really stout on defense, just shutting down the run because that's the bread and butter for San Fran.
Exactly.
But, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't prove himself in that game. He made a lot of mistakes, turned the ball over, and again, to me, this game is interesting just because of the playoff implications, but also going forward, what are the 49ers going to do? Are they going to have Jimmy Garoppolo their quarterback of the future, or is it almost time to start turning towards the young kid if Jimmy can't handle being the guy in San Francisco?
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Oh, and I'm going to pick
San
Francisco.
Say, who's your pick?
I'm going to pick San Francisco
so
anyway.
Going to pick Jimmy Garoppolo on the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm going to pick San Francisco, and I'm going to pick San Francisco because I love their front. They're going to get after Joe Burrow. I think they're going to have him create some turnovers. But I'm going to go with San Fran. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the key to this game.
Well, staying in the NFC West, we have the Monday Night Football game. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. That's right. Singing at home for you people. And it's an NFC West showdown with the Los Angeles Rams visiting the Arizona Cardinals. The first place in the NFC, Arizona Cardinals. Who do you like in this final rapid-fire game that we have?
Man, I feel like I've been picking a lot of upsets, I feel like. And I'm going to go with another one. And even though I really like this team to win the NFC West in the beginning of the year, I'm going to pick the Rams. Last week they played a terrible Jaguars team, but you know, it's the NFL. Anything could happen. And they went out and they did what they had to do. They won the game, and they won it handedly, right? And they got Odell Beckham involved another week with a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, again, another big monster week for him. But what was important for me in that game was they got Sonny Michel going. And I criticized the Rams for not having a good running game leading up to that, and they went out there and they ran for over 100 yards with Sonny Michel and a touchdown. But I think that they're going to win this game against Arizona on the sole fact that their defense has to show up. This was a defense that was, with superstars, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, you can name them. And they haven't been living up to that billing yet.
I was just going to say the talent level on LA for the way they're performing is a disgrace, in my opinion.
And they've been bad.
The LA Rams.
And they've been bad.
Right. They lost 4 in a row before they beat Jacksonville. Right.
And I think Arizona, they're hot, and it's easy to pick Arizona right now because they're hot. And they played a beat-up Chicago team on the road, which is tough to do in Chicago. But they beat them, and Kyler Murray looked good. But this is the game right here. This is the game we're going to see if Kyler Murray is really healthy. Those Rams are going to get after him. I'm sure they're going to blitz. They're going to send those guys. They're going to send the house after him. And let's see if Jalen Ramsey can lock up DeAndre Hopkins. It's always been when Jalen Ramsey was on the Jaguars and Hopkins was that was a big matchup. And now they're in the NFC West together. So it's a fun game, but I think the Rams could pull it out.
Exactly. All right, Eric Cruz, our sports insider every week. Let's see if he can keep this hot streak going this week. Maybe you'll be 5-0.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be great.
Listen, or you'll be 1-4 this week.
Nah, we're not going to talk negative.
We're not. We won't talk about. We won't talk
Keep it
negative.
positive,
You know,
right?
we want to keep the Cowboys in that win column, though.
That's it.
So I didn't want to say 0-5. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Appreciate you as always, brother.
No doubt, man. Thanks.
All right, folks. Join us next week for the Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.